Okay, check. Hello. How about you? What do you sound like?
How about this? What do you think? What do you think about this sound?
How's that? Good, I think, except I feel mine is a little bit
You a little too loud?
far out, dude.
Gnarly.
Ready?
Take it away.
What are we saying? We have a patron submitted topic and a couple cards we want to talk about today.
And maybe some Vegas stuff.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 with the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about a couple things. We have a topic submitted by a patron. We have a couple cards that we're going to talk about. We have a brief experience of Vegas that we're going to go over with you. Not too much, not too bad, not too bad. What do you say?
I say let's get into things.
Let's get right into things.
All right then, Dylan. Do you have anything in particular that you want to start with today?
Let's start with the patron submitted topic. I feel like that's the newest and the freshest and the most different thing, unless the question is stupid and bad.
No, it's not. It's from Nathan Cohen, so it's never stupid and bad. Nathan Cohen always has some cool things for us to talk about. And actually, the list of cards that I have is like kind of based around Nathan Cohen's topic, which he thought it would be cool if we would talk about stacks a bit more.
Oh, sure.
Which I know exactly what you're thinking, Dylan.
Stack sucks.
Stack sucks. I know. That great. Topic over. Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, it's been touched on a few times recently, but I think a more focused discussion could be cool. Obviously, stacks kind of sucks overall, so he definitely agrees, since winning the game is generally a better use of resources than trying to stop other people from winning, but there are some stacks pieces that do see play. So maybe we should talk about when to play them, when not to, when to remove stacks pieces to open a window for you, but not other players, etc., etc.
I do have a little bit to talk about with this, because my Sisei list recently, I have been putting in some legends that have stacks-like abilities, and they felt pretty good for me so far.
Honestly, they've seemed pretty good for you too. Yeah.
I played locals this week. I played 3 games with Sisei. I won 2 of them, and the third one felt like I was very close, and I think I lost the game because I fetched the wrong land on turn 1, and 7 turns later, it bit me in the ass because I never drew a red source.
Wild.
And I had several turns to draw a red source and win the game on the spot, and I didn't. So I think that was my mistake that I fetched the wrong land.
Funny.
But like Ashiok was super fucking good. Like the stacks pieces that I did play felt pretty relevant. So I'm happy to talk about a couple stacks pieces here.
Nice. All right, great. I think that sounds good, because I think this is kind of the direction that stacks is going in right now, where it's not that you play a dedicated stacks deck, it's that you have 1 or 2 extremely impactful stacks pieces that are in your deck that are able to either stop other players from being able to win to buy you time to win, or things that just straight up prevent your opponents from doing things so that this way you can win.
My mindset recently on stacks pieces now, and kind of as always, is they have to help you win the game, and that can be achieved in a kind of a couple different ways. The first way is they actually give you something. So something like Drana and Linvala is a card that I play in Sisei.
Great example.
Shuts off activated abilities of opponent's creatures, which is particularly good against Sisei because I find Sisei's Kinnan matchup is not so good. Sisei wants to kind of push to the late game, and Kinnan does it better.
We lose to Tyler a lot.
Obviously. Also, the Thrasios decks, same idea. They push to the late game pretty well, and I feel like Sisei has a little bit of a harder time against them, whereas Drana and Linvala makes that matchup a lot more doable. And I think because it also gives you the ability on Drana, it like helps you push your win as well, let alone Sisei has the thing of like it being a legendary creature with 2 colors. That is helpful for Sisei. So all of the legendary permanents, those help Sisei win the game. But specifically the fact that like the other day I had a Adrenaline Vala that was able to use a Formidable Speaker's ability to untap my mana vault before I go to my turn. Because that's what it does.
Yeah.
So like there's like so many little tiny things. You think right away like what's it gonna do? Activate a Thrasios or a Kinnan? Yeah, maybe. But even the fact that like it can activate a mana ability, it's a Birds of Paradise or whatever, like that can be really relevant in Sisei when you just need 1 more mana. So I think that's like a huge starting point if you're looking for stacks pieces, is can this stacks piece not only stop my opponents in a matchup that might be tough, but helps me win the game too.
Yeah, I think Drana and Linvala is a sweet one that does a lot of that, because it just like kind of culminates to allowing all of your other engines to working well with it, and that it kind of doesn't matter what your opponents have in play that you're getting the activated abilities for, because there's always something useful that you can do with like the other cards that you have in play. If there's a Professional Facebreaker, you might have a Smothering Tithe, because like that's a card you heavily want in Sisei. So there's always synergy with whatever's on board with what's in your deck too, because you get to play so many weirdo cards that do so many weirdo things, and I feel like there's always use for these abilities that you get.
Yeah, exactly. I could talk about like the other stacks pieces in Sisei too, but like the other benefit is like just it doesn't have to not only like help you. Hold on, let me figure out exactly where I'm going with this.
You're trying to transition into Ashiok?
Yeah, I was kind of trying into Ashiok. All right, so cut that. There's also stacks pieces that I'm including like Ashiok that don't exactly help me win the game. Like they don't give me an advantage, but like I said earlier, with Sisay, just having a legendary permanent that offers 2 colors, that alone is helpful. I feel like Sisay is like a prime home to like house some of these stacks pieces because they also help Sisay win the game.
I mean, Sisay's played a lot of other, creatures that do similar things, not like shutting your opponents off from searching their library and exiling their graveyards, but like I'm thinking Lavinia, like these other creatures that you would tutor for in response to something, or even Etali, I would say, is in this space, like some way that can interact with your opponents while also giving you a benefit. And I think that it just kind of depends on what the meta looks like, right? Right now, it might not be time for Lavinia. God, please don't put Lavinia in your deck. I hope you don't put. Damn it! No, don't play Lavinia.
I have Lavinia and Spider Woman, the one that has artifacts and creatures come in tap
that one
too.
I'm okay with, but Etali just cried when I found that out.
Yeah, Lavinia is pretty good against Etali.
Pretty good against Etali. But Ashiok is still also like absolutely insane in the meta, against like Thassa's Oracle, mostly Underworld Breach. I don't know why I said Thassa's Oracle.
It's kind of nothing against Thassa's Oracle.
It's absolute jack shit against Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, but it's really good against Magda. It's really good against Rogsai, at least like when they're trying to win. It's not good against them drawing 30 cards with Necropotence.
Yep. Another thing that I'm looking for recently with stacks pieces is I don't want to stop my opponents from playing the game. I want to stop them from winning the game, which is a little bit, it's a different mindset that I've had in the past, where of like previously rule of law effects, they stop your opponents from playing the game, not necessarily from winning the game, which is kind of tricky because sometimes you shut off 2 players and then the Thoracle player just end step tainted packs and then untaps and slams Thassa's Oracle and you've done kind of nothing. So I don't really want to stop people from playing the game because I still want them to be able to interact with each other. I just don't want them to win the game. So I think that's like a different like choice for stacks pieces. That's what you want to think about too.
Well, because again, I think it's a bigger focus on stacks pieces versus stacks decks. And I think if you're looking for a stacks piece, you're trying to find something that is going to go along with the fact that you also want players to keep feeding your rhystic studies and keep feeding your Lotho too, right? Whereas if you play a hard stacks piece like an Archon of Emeria in your Timna deck, like in Blue Farm, now all of a sudden like so many of your engines are perpetually shut off. Rhystic study they can always pay for. They'll always have extra mana floating for even like your Smothering Tithe. So you're just getting these scenarios where you only need like 1 or 2 super impactful stacks pieces in your deck instead of having to be so dedicated towards like playing 4 or 5 of them even.
Right, and we're using the stacks piece, like I use the term stacks piece, I think kind of loosely recently. Like I would consider Orcish Bowmaster a stacks piece, even though it really isn't, but like an onboard piece of something that modifies the game in a way, I would consider all of that in this conversation.
It's an anti-creature stacks piece,
right?
Kind of,
yeah,
right?
Like even something like Rhystic Study, which is not a stacks piece, it's a draw engine, but like it is a permanent that goes on play, that slows the table down, that stops you from losing the game, that like helps you win the game. Like I consider all of these things in the same ballpark.
Realistically, it should be Thorn of Amethyst, but it's not treated as Thorn of Amethyst.
Which is, I think there's like this argument online I see sometimes where like, why is Rhystic Study so good? Just like pay the 1. That's wrong. You don't understand multiplayer if that's what you're saying, because that's not how it is. Like you don't want to do nothing. Sometimes it's correct to just push right into the Rhystic Study because what are they going to have? They have to have 2 or 3 specific things. You can play around those things until you get to a point where you resolve a silence. Or if you just do nothing because you can't pay the 1, that's not good either. If you make no game actions, you will also not win the game.
Now you're not doing anything. How do you expect to win if you don't cast spells?
Right, so you have to like weigh the decision each time. Sometimes it is correct. You should pay the 1. Sometimes that's right. It's not a blanket statement. It doesn't work. You will lose a lot of games if you always just pay the 1, because sometimes you won't be able to. The option will be like play no spells. That's not good. You know what I mean? I see that argument about Rhystic City sometimes, and I feel like it's wrong. So I feel like I want to just say that real quick.
No, I think that makes sense. When we got into cEDH, I feel like there was a lot of heuristics that were like, you always pay for Rhystic Study. Don't feed the fish. You never do that, right? And now I'm kind of glad that we have come around to sometimes it actually is better to push, right? You're going last and like seat 1 had Rhystic Study and like you need to catch up. Who gives a shit that they have 2 extra cards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You were probably going to lose anyway.
Or what if you have a Rhystic Study in play? If I have a Rhystic Study in play, you better believe I'm going to feed you a ton, because then you're going to feed me back, and then now I'll have the tools to stop you. So like we feed off of each other. There's not a blanket statement of just like always feed the fish or always don't feed the fish. It depends on the game state.
Every single rule that you have, it can be broken. You have to learn the rules first before you can break them. I learned that in music theory.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good comparison.
I think so too. So a couple other stacks pieces that Nathan specifically brought up that I think we should talk about here. One of them is Vexing Bauble.
This one can be very good. I think it's important to hold up a mana when you play a Vexing Bauble in case you need to pop it so somebody else can force a will, but sometimes that's not the case.
Absolutely, yeah, because Why would it not be the case?
So sometimes it's turn 1 and I want to untap and Etali goes after me. I'm slamming Vexing Bauble because I know next turn, all I have to do is survive the turn and Vexing Bauble stops the Etali player. I don't need you guys to force reveal Etali player because Vexing Bauble stops Etali. And on my turn, I'm going to crack it anyway and draw a card because I need to because I have an Imperial Seal in my hand or something.
At that point, yeah, that's great.
There are sometimes, and it's a risk. It's a risk. Sometimes you're not going to realize like, oh, the Tymna Crown player actually just has natural Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation and the Tymna Thrasios player wants to cast Force of Will on that.
And now they can't.
And now they can't. You lose that game. You have to, weigh it. If it's late game, I think it's much more important to leave that 1 mana available. If it's early game, just shutting off, they're like, oh, you can't play Chromox on your turn 1 now, and I get to my turn, and you didn't get to advance your mana or anything, so I can go through anything, and I'll crack my Bauble now or whatever. Sometimes that can be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. A universal stacks piece that can get rid of itself at an opportune moment, I think is really nice.
And especially one that works as protection. Shuts off Force of Will, shuts off Force of Negation, Pact of Negation. It's not just a stacks piece. Really what it's best at is protecting your win. That's what it's good for, right?
Yeah, especially when you no longer need to cast any 0 mana things. Right. Like if you're not trying to go with an Underworld Breach Lion's Eye Diamond thing. I mean, also, fuck it. Just like cast Dark Ritual over and over again too, right? Like there's ways that you can play around it even in play if you need to.
And sometimes it's right to just cast the Vexing Bauble, then cast the Underworld Breach, then pop the Vexing Bauble, then cast the Lion's Eye Diamond. And it doesn't matter if they counter the Lion's Eye Diamond because you have Underworld Breach in play.
That's
just cast it again, right?
And it then gave you 2 other resources for your Underworld Breach too between itself and the card that you draw. Like it replaces itself. It's like kind of just a cantrip, which is kind of nice.
I've been loving recently all of the cantrips. I think they work really well with all of the top deck tutors. I'm talking about Rogsai specifically right now. But
I mean, that's a universal statement though.
Cantrips are
Cantrips are great with top deck tutors.
Right? Yeah. That's just true across the board in other decks as well.
Every black deck plays Vampiric Tutor and needs a way to find that card.
Yeah, especially like I'm trying to Brainstorm out right now today. Tomorrow I'll be off Brainstorm. I go back and forth forever. But Brainstorm I think works really well with other cantrips as well because you can do weirdo things like Brainstorm, put Ad Nauseam on top of my library, crack the Lion's Eye Diamond, hold priority, and crack the Vexing Bauble, and then you make the mana from the Lion's Eye Diamond, and then you draw the Ad Nauseam that you put there.
That's pretty smart.
Weirdo tiny little things like that you can do with the cantrip I think are really nice. So just like 2 mana draw card is like kind of cool.
It is, yeah. It seems really great in Dargo decks too, because like a lot of the Dargo loops with Deadpool and Ruthless Technomancer require you to spend mana on all of the things that you're doing. So you can just have that in play, go through your loops, and not have to worry about any kind of free interaction coming your way.
But this is another one that like this is not really a stacks piece, even though it can be. I think it's better to view it as this card helps me win the game.
Well, I think the definition of stacks piece that I'm using is things that say your opponents can't.
Yeah.
Because the next stacks piece I want to talk about is Grand Abolisher.
Oh.
And this is one that Nathan put on the list too. Yeah.
Kind of stacks piece.
Your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of creatures, artifacts, and lands on your turn.
I think you said all the things that it does.
It's either lands or enchantments. It always messes me up.
It's definitely enchantments. I know that it's enchantments.
And it's
also
really stupid because enchantments typically don't have activated abilities.
Wait, is that right? Is it definitely enchantments? Now I'm not sure that I see that. I'm pretty sure it is enchantments though. I think this came up for me recently. Let's confirm what Grand Abolisher does.
No, I bet it is enchantments because I bet you can do stupid stuff with your lands. It is enchantments.
But it's lands too, right?
No, it's 3 things: artifacts, creatures, or enchantments.
Oh, you can still sack a fetch land?
You can still sack a fetch land.
You got it in front of you, sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Grand Abolisher. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate of artifact and enchantments.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Very good. Now I believe you because you said it like that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, like specifically, stacks piece were obviously very loose and gray. Is it a stacks piece? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it does say that your opponents can't do, and what it also does is help you win the game. That checks off 2 boxes for me, and I like those boxes.
So in theory, we've all been playing a stacks piece in our deck the whole time. We just kind of weren't thinking of it as a stacks piece in the traditional form because it's not slowing someone down from playing the game.
And I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I think it's better to think of stacks pieces as pieces rather than deck archetypes. Stacks deck archetype, not good. I don't like that. I don't like the purpose of your whole deck is to slow the game down.
That's a tier 4 deck. Putting every kind of card of an archetype into one deck is a bracket 4 thing that you do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like your deck should be focused on winning the game. Not necessarily quickly, but efficiently. It should do that, and all of the things in your deck should help you do that. They should help you win the game. Now, sometimes that means you throw a rule of law in there because you're time and you don't want to play any spells, and I fucking lost a time many a times. Defense, what's the card called?
Oh, that's
Deafening
funny.
Silence?
Oh, I thought you were going to mention it. You said you lost a time many a times.
Oh, that's what I did say because I'm very funny. Yep. But like Deafening Silence is a powerful card. Rogside can't do much about that. I have like 2, maybe 2 or 3 answers in the whole deck, and none of them are great. Yes, that can be good, but you have to focus on winning the game with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you use it a little bit more in that tempo archetype that we've been talking about a little bit more, which I think is where Totem really lies. Like, you're not full dedicated stacks in Totem. You have too many dumb little creatures that need 3 counters on them in order to like do your thing and actually present your win. But you also need time in order to win after Rogsai and Etali and before Kinnan and Sisay and, well, I guess not.
I think Sisay, for me,
Sisay's a tempo deck.
I've used Sisay as that tempo strategy. If you're trying to win before the late games, decks
especially
really go.
now that you put a couple of these stacks pieces in there, it kind of actually fits that tempo thing a little bit more. I think I should have said like a Thrasios deck instead.
Yeah. Another stacks piece I want to talk about?
Yeah, hit me.
One that I've historically, I guess recently not loved as much, but I actually do think is pretty good in the right deck. Opposition Agent. I know that's crazy because when Oppo came out, everyone was like, should this card be banned? It's so fucking good.
This is too good. Yeah.
And it hasn't really done a ton, but
it's fallen off recently too.
I think it's really good. I mean, I'm a Sisay player, so I think it's really good. Obviously, that might taint my judgment or whatever. The card is just like, it's backbreaking against the decks that it's good at. And what I think is best about it is it doesn't stop your opponents from playing the game. It just stops them from winning the game. Yes, it's going to stop a fetch land once in a while, but realistically what it does is it shuts off Rogsai's tutors, and it shuts off Sisay tutors, and it shuts off Magda tutors. It stops your opponents from winning the game.
It doesn't stop off the interaction that people have in their hands. So they can still cast spells, they can still cast other advantage engines that will help people progress, which will help feed your engines eventually too, but it doesn't actively prevent people from being able to do any of that.
Right, yeah, exactly. And the flash speed makes it so that like you don't have to commit to it, which is so nice.
And I think that's the only reason why it would be considerable now, because what happens is, something else that Nathan wanted us to touch on is like when to remove these stacks pieces, and the answer is always immediately before you win the game, with something that would allow the stacks piece to be played again immediately when you can't win the game, if something goes wrong, right? Touch the Spirit Realm. This is kind of like the perfect thing for this, right?
Touch is great if you're not necessarily trying to win the game, but you just need to get on board. Like, I want to touch the Drannith Magistrate, play Sisay on my turn, but then I want the Drannith Magistrate to come back after that to shut off the Underworld Bridge after me. I'm not looking to win right away. I just need to get on board.
But for, I guess it's a bad example for what I want to say about Opposition Agent though. But like, let's say like you get into the Flood mod or something though. So your Oppo gets bounced back to your hand. Now you can replay it. Like, the flash speed like prevents that window from coming up for a lot of players. I mean, that means you have to hold up 3 mana a lot of the time. But where I think this card is still good is in those Thrasios Tymna strategies where you can utilize it being a creature. You want to hold up your mana at all times, and you will always have 4 mana at least up. So this is an option that you constantly have.
Yeah, and the fact that like the flash is good, but like the reason I think why it's particularly good, which you kind of touched on, is it's good against bounce spells, which are the premier removal source of cEDH right now.
Exactly. Because Touch the Spirit Realm is like the perfect thing for it, but like everyone else is running bounce spells.
So you have to either have like, on Sisay, I'm playing Dismember, or you have to like bounce it at a moment where they're going to tap out, and a good player is probably not going to tap out against a Sisay player when they have opposition in play, because they're going to need to be able to play it back down if there is a bounce or something like that. Yeah, I think that's also like an important part of why the flash speed in particular is so good, is that it's good against bounce spells.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of doesn't matter that like you're going to play it against someone's other tutor and then get 1 card off of it and then it won't do anything else again. Like, a lot of the times that is just enough value. You don't necessarily need it to do anything else.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I like Opposition Agent a lot. I just don't have a home for it in a lot of decks that I'm playing right now is the problem.
Because it's best in like a slop deck, and it's best in a slop deck that plays black cards, which there just aren't a ton of right now.
And even Blue Farm isn't like a sloppy enough deck to be able to run it.
Yeah, and I think Blue Farm probably is a prime candidate if you're going to do it, because it's a deck that can live off of Rhystic Study and can just have passive card draw, and like getting the Oppo in play there is really good. But there's just all of the other decks that do it really well, like Kinnan and Rog Ishai. They're not going to play Opposition Agent, obviously, because they don't play black cards, and there's the decks that could play it the best, probably.
Blue Farm does not have a problem beating decks like Magda a lot. It has a problem beating Kinnans and other decks that can push into the late game a little bit better, I think.
I think also, once you're in black, winning the game isn't the tricky part, because like for decks like Kinnan and for Rog Ishai, since you're in those colors, winning the game is the tricky part, so you have to draw all of these cards so you can win with a bunch of cards in your hand. Whereas if you're playing black cards, you have so many ways to win the game. You don't have to resort to the slop shit. You don't have to do the Rhystic Study thing, because you have ad nauseum. You just draw all the cards right now. You have all these ways to make the win happen, so you don't like need to be playing this style of card. That pull is kind of interesting, I think.
So the decks you have a bad matchup against aren't going to be feeding into the Opposition Agent, which is kind of why I haven't liked it in Blue Farm as much.
Yeah. We also, Nathan said that we talked about like when to get rid of the stacks piece. I think it's also important to talk about when to play the stacks piece and what to do with it. So like an interesting thing with Sisay, I had this come up yesterday and I didn't want to do it. I played the Ashiok and I minused it. I was like, let's get rid of this person's graveyard. I think it might be relevant. It was a Etali or whatever. Let's minus it. But then what ended up happening later is now my Ashiok is at at 4, and then the player was able to give their creature flying somehow.
What?
I know, crazy. We gave them flying, and they attacked my Ashiok for 4 damage, but they didn't have a 5/5 in place. There's moments where, like, if you're going to play the Ashiok, I think in particular, it's oftentimes best to not even minus the Ashiok. Don't worry about the graveyard thing. Just do it as a way to stop tutors and have that be what it is, and keep it at 5 loyalty so that it has a better chance of staying alive to Orcish Bowmaster and shit like that. Make sure that you can protect your Stax piece when you play it. Play it at a time when you are not giving the game to somebody else. This is the Vexing Bauble thing, and sometimes you're just gonna have to like flip a coin and say, I'll lose here, whatever. Sometimes it's best, like on turn 5, don't tap out for Vexing Bauble. Do not do that. Turn 1, it can be fine. Turn 5, it is not okay. Look at the board state. Is this going to give the game to somebody else? Maybe you can like do a soft feel. How do we feel about this card? And see what the responses are. And if everyone says, no, don't do that, that might mean that maybe you still should do it. Don't listen to them, you know what I mean? But you can hear them, judge their responses, and what do they think? Some player might go, I really need you to not play that right now. Here's this Force of Will. I'm going to show you this card quietly.
That's the thing. You'll always get information this way.
You'll get information out of it, and then you'll go, okay, there's a Force, and I don't have a Force, and this player looks like they're ready to win, so maybe I won't play the Vexing Bauble just yet. But maybe they don't show you that. Maybe they go, yeah, that doesn't actually do anything for us, so okay, I can tap out for it now, and then next turn it'll be good because I can resolve something and then draw a card afterwards.
I think that's a really good point. I think this is like the hardest part about stacks to learn is to figure out the timing, because being able to stop 2 out of the 3 players is not good enough. Don't listen to Meatloaf. It is bad. So you want to end up in a spot where it is hurting everybody. Otherwise, you, like you said, you are just kind of handing the game over to another player, and that player is never you.
Yeah, and I think that's why Sisay is such a great deck to play a couple of small stacks options, because Sisay can find them at instant speed. You cast a Demonic Tutor, all right, I'm going to go find Ashiok, and then I'm going to untap right after you, and now I can win the game, because now my Sisay has 2 more color pips or whatever, and now I can find a win some other way. Whereas, like, I don't have to, like, chill with the stacks piece on board for a long time, stopping 2 players and not a 3rd player. You just get it at instant speed, and you win right afterwards.
That's kind of why Drannith Magistrate has been bad. Like, it's typically something that players want to get down on turn 2 to disrupt the game plan of everybody else, but it's not helping you find other resources to be able to do other things. And then by the time someone does have a way to get rid of Drannith Magistrate, they've had plenty of time to, you know, put their whole win condition of your Underworld Breach and all this kind of stuff into their hand. And then, you know, at that point, it doesn't matter that you've slowed down the whole table, because one person took advantage of that fact the whole time.
A good example of that with Drannith Magistrate in particular is, like, oftentimes Kinnan and Rograk will already be in play, and then you play the Drannith Magistrate, and then now Totem can't get into play, and now Kinnan and Rograk are able to go off the rails and do whatever they want because their commanders are in play, and you just shut down the player who was the furthest behind, and that doesn't actually help you win the game.
You didn't progress. If anything, you just saw a player was down, you kicked them in the gut, and then you waved as the other 2 players ran ahead of you.
As they were already ahead of you.
Because they started 10 feet ahead of you too, yeah.
And Kinnan is a good thing to remember too. I think it's important to realize Kinnan doesn't care about most stacks pieces. So when you're putting a stacks piece in your deck, you have to think, is there a chance where, like, I'm just going to give the game to Kinnan if I play this? They're going to love it when you play Rule of Law.
Yeah.
They just want to activate, you know, Kinnan 2 times a turn. That's totally fine by them. They're going to love certain stacks pieces much more than others. But if you're playing like Cursed Totem or
which is the next one that I have on my list,
right?
Actually,
Sometimes, like, if the stacks piece affects Kinnan, obviously we lose to Kinnan a lot. But, like, if the stacks piece affects Kinnan, I think that weirdly is a better reason why you should play it, because, like, that's the deck that you want to stacks out, kind of.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, Cursed Totem effects kind of affect almost every single deck in the format. Like, there's a lot of green decks that are playing Mana Dorks in general. It doesn't really affect Roxai. No, that is true. So you should be on it. But, like, it also doesn't affect, like, a lot of the blue farm cards. A lot of them don't have activated abilities. It's all triggers that they're based around. So I've seen it in a lot of blue farm decks, too, that do really well in tournaments. This kind of, like, uses a preemptive counterspell a lot of the time. Like, here's something that's going to stop a ton of things in your deck. It's like having a Wrath almost a lot of the times against, you know, Kinnan decks and against Thrasios decks. Now, like, all of the stuff they've been building towards, it just doesn't work. And especially as Wizards keeps pushing the better abilities on creatures instead of instants and sorceries, the more impactful Cursed Totem is going to end up being as we keep getting better things like Enduring Vitality and other cracked bullshit like that.
Yeah, I think specifically Blue Farm, I think, is a great example, because Cursed Totem in Blue Farm does exactly what Blue Farm wants to do, which is, like, cuts off Kinnan and Sisay in the late game. It allows Blue Farm to play with those decks while it's in the late game, which Blue Farm is pretty good at playing in the late game, but Kinnan's still better. So any way to, like, up your odds in the late game, like, you're already, I think Blue Farm is okay against stopping Rogsai. You have a ton of free counter magic, you have a ton of rhystic studies, you have a ton of ways to stop the turbo decks. You may not always have them, Turbo's still really great, but, like, you have the tools to stop the turbo deck. You don't really have the tools to stop the Kinnan deck. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Like,
or even like
really good there.
Even like Sisay, and I know I said like it's got like I think it has a good matchup against Magda, but like if it's later in the game and Magda's going for a win, sometimes there's nothing that you can do. So like what you need to be able to do is make all of the decks that you have a hard time interacting with their win, you need to force them to cast spells.
Yeah.
And spells you can interact with, but activated abilities you can't interact with outside of something like this. And Stifle's not good because if you stifle one Magda trigger, they're gonna say, who gives a shit? I have 40 dwarves in play and a bunch of vehicles that I can use to crew them. I can just, reactivate my Magda and I don't care. Something that is going to prevent all of the times that they attempt to go off is way more impactful than just like the one singular spell.
Yeah, and you mentioned also like being okay with them like casting spells. You want them to cast spells. You have a heuristic study. You want them to try to dig for ways to get out of the stacks pieces that you do have. You don't want them to activate abilities because activate abilities doesn't draw you cards. So you don't lose anything by that. But you don't want, like we said, you don't want to rule of law them because you have your heuristic study. You want them to cast spells. You just don't want them to win the game.
I want all of their spells to do nothing. Is really what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want them to go, oh, Llanowar Elves, oh, I won't pay for heuristic study, but it does nothing because of the Curse Totem. That's what you're trying to set up for. And along these lines, if you want to stop kidding, Grafdigger's Cage is a great way to do this too. Yeah, but don't use it against Etali because Etali puts things into exile and then you cast them from there.
We were playing a game with the Scry Babies recently in Vegas where I played a Grafdigger's Cage. Very good at Winota, not very good at Etali. Had I not...
Very good against Rogside.
Very good against, well, moderately good. I would say, yes,
the
goodish.
Magistrate thing.
Goodish enough against Rogside. But had I not done that, maybe, I think, no spoilers, but I think Etali won that game. But had I not done that, and I do stand by, I think the play was fine, but had I not done that and Winota was able to get stacks pieces, I probably just lose to Winota. But I probably don't lose to Etali. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like
important to think about.
It might sway the outcome a little bit more where like you can deal with one or two of the right stacks pieces that might come from Winota, but you can't deal with 30 fucking spells from Etali, right? You can kind of like weigh which ends up working out a little bit better for you.
Yeah, so like that Grafdigger's Cage hand might have been much better if I also had Mindbreak Trap in my hand. But maybe without Mindbreak Trap, Grafdigger's Cage just isn't good enough, and maybe I should have mulliganed. You know what I mean?
That could be,
like,
yeah.
You need to be able to stop multiple things and then also have a way to refill after you stop them. And no spoilers, but...
No spoilers, but that's the thing, because the downside of all of these things that we're saying is that they cost you a card. And with the exception of Vexing Bauble, like all of them don't really replace themselves. So you need something else in play for this effect to be good. Sure, it can buy you time, but what am I doing with that time? If I don't have other engines in play in order to keep building that up, like it's not really helpful. Like the only stacks deck that can utilize that time is Winota, because you can use these stacks pieces that you have, congregate a bunch of them together, and then use them to get you more and more stacks pieces that are slowly reducing the clock against all of your opponents. That's the only reason why Winota works as a dedicated stacks deck.
And works is loose, right?
Works is very loose because it's not even doing well. You're absolutely right, yeah. But at the same time, like, these pieces that are used in mid-range decks and in tempo decks that are used to, like, help strengthen their bad matchups, I think this is a much better spot to be in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, the Vexing Bauble thing, some of the other ones that we talked about, like I'm rehashing things right now, but like that's why they're good. Oppo is good because it gets you a card too. If you catch a tutor, you get a thing.
Orcish Bowmaster, the same way. You're removing a bunch of different creatures for the price of one card.
And like specifically in Sisay, Orcish Bowmaster is a win condition for me. At the end of the game, I want to flicker the Orcish Bowmaster, or it works really well with Enduring Vitality. It's 2 bodies that can now tap for mana with Enduring Vitality. So like not only am I stopping you, but I'm gaining something out of it as well. Dauthi Voidwalker is another card that I love and I want to be good.
I wish Dauthi Voidwalker was good.
And it just for some reason is a little too slow, but realistically, like it feels like it should be good because if there's a counter war when you have the Dauthi out, oh great, now you have protection on your turn. If someone tries to go for a win and they get stopped, whoops, ad nauseum's under my Dauthi Voidwalker. That feels really great. But historically for me, it has always just felt a little slow maybe, and like I don't know. It's just
something has to go wrong for you to get the benefit thing is also never been a good feeling.
Right. Yeah, like if Dauthi had flash, now then we'd be talking, you know what I mean?
Or if I could cast the things at flash speed. Like you're still stuck at the timing restrictions with Dauthi, so like you can't, in response to someone's Ranger Captain of Eos that goes to the graveyard, then get your own Ranger Captain and crack it, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I think it's like the idea and blueprint of what I'm looking for is I want the stacks pieces to give me something. I want to be given something as well.
Yeah, exactly. Something that's going to progress me, that's going to buy me just enough time against all of the other other decks that are in play without giving the game to somebody else.
So Stax pieces, not actually too bad. Stax decks, bad.
That's exactly where I'm at with this too.
Final conclusion, I would say.
Final conclusion. Yeah, I agree. Nice. That's pretty good.
We talked about Vegas a little bit. Should we talk about our Vegas?
I think we should get into Vegas a little bit.
Yeah,
just
Vegas
a little bit.
Yeah, just a touch. We don't need to go in too much because what are we going to say? It was awesome. We had a fantastic gameplay with the Scry Babies Live. We had a fantastic podcast. We had a wonderful meet and greet that was all super wonderful and fantastic.
There was just so many people that we met. So many people that we got to meet, and it was so fucking cool.
If you got to say hi to us, thank you so much. It like truly means the world to be able to meet all of these people and to see all the people that we interact with online, and just specifically people that like are from all parts of the country and all parts of the world where we would never get to see, but they get to say hi to us at MagicCons. It's like the coolest thing in the world.
And it's nice to get to play games against other people too, and get to see like some of the other decks that people are enjoying jamming on as well.
And one of the coolest things for me as a creator in Magic the Gathering is we got a fucking playtest card. One of these
this
creator.
This was so insane. Yeah.
I don't know what these are called, like the Gavin playtest creator cards or something.
It's from his
unknown event.
Yeah, it's from his unknown event. So that's kind of what it's printed under, unknown event. It's these playtest cards that have a...
It's in the binder. Can you see is the glare? I have it in my binder.
There it is. Yeah, you can see it. Obviously, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. But it's called the Playful Winners. I think this card is so cool. It's 3 in a blue for a 2/2 legendary human gamer. And the Playful Winners enters as a copy of a random tournament legal card with partner, including any variant, except it has its other abilities. If you win a game while you control the Playful Winners, or it's your commander, put a tally mark on it. And the Playful Winners gets +2/+2 for each tally mark on it. Dude, no cheating.
So sick, right?
So freaking sick.
I also want to say, I don't actually know for sure if this is us. I'm just like assuming that it's us because like the Playful Winners, like I have heard nothing from Wizards. We weren't contacted directly. I don't know for sure if this is us. I'm just like,
who else would it be?
Who else would it be?
Who else would? It's based around content creators, and it talks about partner.
It talks about partner. It's a slop card. It's like it's a clone of something. it's a blue card. I feel like it's gotta be, but I want to caveat that like Gavin didn't tell me specifically that this was us. I don't have official confirmation.
This was a fun surprise.
Yeah, it was a fun surprise.
Yeah,
but,
over the
dude,
weekend.
It's so cool. And like, also, obviously, if it wasn't clear by the art, this is not a real card. You cannot play this in tournaments.
But I'm building a commander deck around this.
Me too.
Though.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna build this.
There's already some funny stuff that we figured out with this too.
Oh, what did we figure out?
Well, you said that you could spend 4 mana and get raw Grak.
Yeah,
which is funny.
Which I really hope happens one day.
And right now, so this is also really cool. So on Scryfall, if you go down and look at the related searches, there's a section that says cards that have partner variants. And so you can see every single card with partner and a partner variant on it.
Including backgrounds.
Including backgrounds. That's the funny part. So when you can hit random on there and you can get...
What'd you get?
Oh, no, I hit that's a random card. I hit the wrong random button. But there's a random button somewhere that you can hit to give you a random one.
So we're in the partners one. You go to view. You go to random card from search.
That's what it is. Random card from search.
And we got Galandra, Collar of Wirewood. Taps for a green, and when you spend this mana to cast a spell with a converted mass 6 or greater, draw a card. It's a 1/2. That's what we would have gotten for 4 mana.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 3 mana would have been cheaper.
We could get the Iron Throne, right? Like, there's so much fun stuff you could
Crom
get.
or Thrasios or Timna, whatever.
Or Leonardo.
I don't know that when I build this deck, I don't know if that I'll be able to build it as a cEDH deck. It like certainly won't be good. So I might build it with the casual mindset, or I might just build it like the best that I can make it. You know what I mean? Like for cEDH and just like acknowledge that it might be bad.
You won't be funny if you build it like Voltron-y and it gets better after every time that you win because of the
I'm never
whole
gonna win though because it's
thing.
bad.
Well, the first one's really hard, but it gets much easier after that.
I think honestly,
could you imagine it being like the second it becomes a 22/22?
Yeah, in 3 years, this card's gonna be good if you've been playing it for a while, right?
If you play it consistently, yeah.
I think
it's so sweet.
I might build it like a clones deck and just like have that be like the fun little theme of like it's like as many clones as possible and like do a slop thing, but like also play counterspells, a bunch of free interaction stuff like that, and say like this is technically a cEDH deck. All I have is like Rhystic Studies and clones of Rhystic Studies and Phantasmal Images and stuff like that, and then like you win with some whatever 2 or 3 card combo or something.
I was thinking of being a little bit more meaner with it.
Okay.
I was thinking of doing like all of the control magic effects and taking everyone else's commanders, and then you play things that buff your commanders.
It's just like gain control of everyone's commanders and then concede once you do that.
And then then you concede. No, then you play like that Drake that gives all commanders like +2/+2 and flying or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like whenever they deal combat damage.
Could be
draw a
fun.
card.
All right, so we're gonna have 2 different versions of this deck. It sounds like.
Well, that's good that we'll
Yeah.
have 2 different versions of the deck.
Yeah, we got it. But it's so exciting and such an honor, and to have Wizards notice me, you know what I mean? Like, notice it's so cool. It's so cool.
It is such a cool card. Yeah, it is funny that you get a random one.
Yeah.
And that I can't like choose which one
Right,
it is.
yeah.
That does kind of make it more fun. Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, Vegas was awesome and incredible, and getting to meet people who are fans of the show is like the best thing ever. It's like the reason why we do this is to get to connect with the community. Yeah, it's such a fun time.
I did have a realization playing some games in Vegas, though.
Give it to me.
It's that Etali is fine. I think it's just the tournament meta where Etali has kind of taken a nosedive in,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I want to point out that those games that we played, not taking anything away from you, they were great games. You whooped us all times. But you went before me every single time.
Yeah.
And I was last 4 of those times.
Well, yeah, that is
And
also
I think
true. Yeah.
I realized going after Etali, very hard to win the game.
It's hard to win after going after Etali on like turn 2 or something when you only get one turn.
But that doesn't, I'm not taking away, obviously, Etali is still a good deck, and you are 100% right. I do think it's a little bit better in a casual cEDH environment than a tournament cEDH environment.
I just meant like my flips are a little bit more consistent even. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. When you're playing against decks that are like a little bit not the tier 1 right now, and like that's not always true because some of the tier 1 decks, like if you like Rogsai, I play a ton of tutors. You know what I mean?
Blue Farm and Rogsai still feel like they're good matchups for Etali.
Right, yeah, like even like the Thrasios deck, like you play a ton of green creature tutors in those decks. Like there still is an option.
See, but the green creature tutors are bad because they're all X tutors. So like there's a lot of them that end up not being good flips, like Finale and Chord.
There's
and, like,
still Worldly Tutor and Eldritch, but you're right. There are a bunch of X
You're
ones that
right.
are
There
not
are
good,
still some,
right?
but like it does add to like the variability a little bit more too.
It's the slop stuff. It's all of the commandeers. We talked about this last podcast,
Yeah.
but it's all those, the rhystic studies and the commandeers. Those aren't great flips for Etalis. We don't have to talk more about that, but I do think you're right. It's better in a casual cEDH environment than a tournament cEDH environment right now as of a May 2026.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It felt nice to be like a little bit like Etali rejuvenated in that sense. So like, okay, this deck can still kind of do some things when you get the right stuff. I mean, I had a couple of cracked scenarios where like I flipped into a Kinnan player's Nyx Bloom Ancient.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
I
good.
couldn't win on that turn, but on that next turn, City of Traders makes 6 mana, and then Orcish Lumberjack makes 9 mana when you sacrifice a forest, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, and I had way too many Etalis that game. I think it was like 15 Etalis or something I was able to do.
And I do still think that, like, I'm not saying Etali is unplayable in a tournament situation. I do think it's still good. I think it's still one of the top 10 decks in cEDH tournaments. That hasn't changed. That's still true. There was just a time period 3 months ago where I would have argued that it's probably the 5th best deck or 6th best deck in the format, and now I'm pretty confident that it's closer to the 10th best deck in cEDH tournaments.
That's where I'm at with you. Like, it's still in that top
still
10,
good.
and if I ranked all 10, like, I would still put Etali in there. And I don't think that's just bias that's putting Etali in there either.
I do think it is still a top 10 deck in cEDH, but I think some adjustments need to be made for the slop thing.
Yeah, I don't think Rogishai entering the format made it any better. No, exactly, because it kind of does, like we're saying, it kind of relies on these tutors, and like the whole Jeskai color combination does not toot well. It does such a bad job at it. Like it plays idyllic tutor, which is
Ken Fuche. That one in particular is good, right? You know, but
okay, yeah, that's kind of a bad example.
But
I
it
guess.
runs one. It runs like barely any tutor.
There we go. Yeah, it runs that, and then like Gamble would be a good flip.
Intuition's still good.
Maybe.
Whatever,
yeah, Intuition. Like again, there's good cards to flip into, but the majority of the cards are bad, right? Obviously, I can sit here and keep naming good cards. Like Force Will is a good card, and that's one that I don't want to flip into.
But we talked about Etali last week. I feel like we don't need to touch too much more. I'm just watching the podcast right now from last week, actually, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago. I don't know how time works, but we talked about this kind of already.
The one, oh shit, no, it's from last week.
It's from right now. And then this podcast is going up next week. So yeah, last week.
So it's from last week's podcast. Yeah.
But yeah, Etali's still good. I still stand by that. I think it needs a couple extra cards that help your flips be better. I think I'm going to start foregoing interaction more and more. Like I'm almost considering maybe like cutting a Veil of Summer or something. I actually don't know. How many pieces of interaction do you have right now? Like I already cut Flare of Duplication from my list.
Yeah.
I'm playing the Blast and Veil of Summer. I still think those are probably good. But if I have any other interaction in the deck, I think I'm going to chunk it. I think I'm going to get rid of it, and I think I want to play more ways that can maybe manipulate the top card of my library. Maybe I want Panharmonicon back in because I just want, rather than a turn 2 chunky every time, I would like 2 or 3 chunkies on turn 3, maybe that's the mode.
Yeah, if you can set it up then. See, that makes me want to be a little bit more safe if I'm trying to do a turn 3 chunky. But at the same time, I can understand where you're coming from. Like, I think a lot of the removal is not as necessary. Like, I don't feel like I need Fury as much as I need Pyrokinesis. I feel like I would want the Red Blast still because you can cast them off of Treasonous Ogre very easily and a lot of the other rituals. So I think it's easier to make 8 mana that's all red as opposed to make like 7 red and a green or some kind of stupid thing like that. So I can understand like wanting to go down Veil of Summer. And I think the more I'm thinking about it, Flare of Duplication is not really like protective. Like, it's really only kind of good as a flip, or I'm in a scenario where I can only be Mind Break trapped after I get Etali in play. And then a lot of the times, like, that flare in my hand could still fuck up my Etali pile, because what if there was a Twin Flame in that pile? And now I can no longer copy my Etali with that Twin Flame. So it's basically like that Mind Break Trap resolved half the time.
So yeah, so I think stuff like that is bad, and I think I've talked about this many times at this point, but Scroll Rack?
Scroll Rack.
It's so much mana. It's like 4 mana to do that, 2 and then 2, right? Scroll Rack, is that what it is?
It's 2 and then 1. I think it's just 1 that I think.
I don't know, like, I want more ways to like set up. I want more things that are like Chandra, like the 7 mana Chandra, that are like big effects that get you another Etali, but also
I put that one back in.
Yeah, like,
I took Formidable Speaker out and I put that 7 mana Chandra back in because it's a better flip, I think. Instead of like requiring me to have something in hand to discard and then cast whatever I go get, I might as well just get another Etali. That felt way better to me, especially because in the early game, I don't think Formidable Speaker does enough, if anything at all. Plus, there was another card that you said, I thought.
Scroll Rack.
Here's my issue with Scroll Rack is you have to put cards from your hand onto the top.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where you want to be putting the cards. I feel like I would rather have Sensei's top, and I'd rather figure out like what else is in my deck that I can flip into, and like maybe I can set up a scenario where I can bypass this land, get this next card that's going to mill me a couple. Well, the land, if you then copy Etali, you exile that land.
Oh, if you want to get rid of it,
exactly.
Sure,
if you want to get rid of it, right? So like, I think there's certain scenarios where like I might rather have top.
I could see that.
You could even like look at the top 3. If you don't want 2 of the cards, if like one's a land, another one's a card you don't want, another one's the one that you want. You put the one that you want at the bottom. You put the land in the middle. The one you don't want on top. You crack the top, but then you get the top. So I don't like top and Etali either. I don't like that either.
What about Sylvan Tutor? Green mana, it's Worldly Tutor, but sorcery speed.
I would rather play Sylvan Tutor, yeah, because there's a lot of times where what you want to do in your turn is go, I'm going to have a turn 2 Treasonous Ogre with Worldly Tutor that I'm just holding up on an end step. And like, the only thing that makes Sylvan Tutor worse is that now people know that Treasonous Ogre is coming a turn earlier, but they can't do anything about it most of the time anyway.
Yeah, and it's still like a relatively decent flip on your own, especially if you hit somebody else's clone and you get to like clone your Etali and then also Sylvan Tutor and put Trogar on top, or whatever you're going to put on top.
For the same reason that Worldly Tutor is just a good hit off Etali too.
I think just like more ways to manipulate the top of your library, that's what I'm looking for. I don't know if that's Sensei's Divining Top or Scroll Rack or even Sylvan Tutor.
I think it is Sylvan Tutor. I think I'd like a way to find Rionia and get Rionia on top of your library.
Rionia is a win. Rionia is a win. If you can resolve a Rionia, it's like, it just is so often like 5 Etalis. That's enough.
Especially because like the Sylvan Tutor's one of the things that gave you an extra Etali then too. Like, I think that's a better way to go instead of like trying to rely on stuff in my hand or like hope that I'm spending mana to put the right thing on top of my deck, because like both of those will lock you out eventually.
Yeah.
You'll get a couple of good Etalis then, but eventually you're going to go back to the cards that you didn't want to see anyway. Like, they're not actually progressing you through your deck to find food chain unless they find you like an Eldritch Evolution or something like that. It has to be the exact perfect card. But I feel like if you're trying to reduce the amount of gambling that Etali gives you, I wouldn't want to put other cards in the deck that still require gambling. I think something more like a Sylvan Tutor is the better way to go.
Yeah, like when you're spinning the wheel, I want more red spaces. I don't want to. Well, I don't know where I'm going with that actually.
I want to manipulate the roulette wheel so that there's less black spaces and more red spaces.
Yeah. What about, I know you're playing Noxious Revival. Is Reclaim an option? I'm pretty sure that's the name of the card. It's like it's a 1 green mana, put something from your graveyard on top of your library. Is that something?
It could be, yeah. I mean, other things are just like make an intuition pile a little bit better too. Might just be it. Normally right now my intuition pile, if I want to find food chain, is just like Eternal Witness, food chain, and Noxious Revival. And then no matter what, I can get a food food chain, but I think there might be ways where like you do spin into like a clone and intuition. Now, no matter what, if you have Noxious Revival, Reclaim, food chain, like you'll always get it on top of your library.
More ways to go again, more ways to put things on top, less ways to interact. I think it's if they have the interaction, they have it, and then I'm going to try again next turn rather than I'm going to protect my thing this turn. I think that's the mindset that I'm looking for more in Etali. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing or talking about, but when I see like the deck lose, it loses because it lost to itself more than anything else.
What is the name? I need to look at my MOXFIELD for a second because somebody asked me this question on MOXFIELD and I haven't had the chance to answer it yet, but now I want to answer it.
Perfect time.
The perfect time, right? Hit the wrong thing. Dan Vega's Mega Money Quiz. There's a card that's like from Lorwyn.
Try to describe it to me.
It's 1 and a green.
Is it the creature that can get something back from the graveyard if you have 3 more creatures? Rog Thras is playing such a card.
A creature that gets something back from a graveyard if you have 3 or more creatures.
Is that what you're saying?
No.
What does the card do that's in your mind?
The card is an enchantment that lets you, when you cast something, look at the top X cards of your library. Cream of the Crop. Have you seen this card?
I don't think so.
It's 1 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may look at the top X cards of your library where X is that creature's power. If you do, put one of those cards on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Oh.
So
Can
it's,
I see this?
Yeah,
Can
it's
I...
1 and a green, and then Etali comes into place, and then you have 2 ETB triggers. You have one on Etali and a Cream of the Crop trigger.
And you resolve the cream first?
So you put the Etali one on the stack first, the cream one goes next, and then you can, with cream, look at the top 7 cards of your library, put a creature.
If you do, just one of those cards on top. You get
just
to choose.
one of those cards on top, and the rest go where on the bottom?
On the bottom of your library.
So then you can just like help fix a Twin Flame on top of your library.
And if you like flip into your opponent's shitty creatures like 2 Birds of Paradises, bad example. 2 Llanowar Elves or whatever.
Because it's power.
It's power. But if you get to just like flip into 2 creatures, you just get like a couple extra peaks, which like maybe guarantees your next hit is a little bit better or gives you a better shot. And it's only 2 mana investment. Yeah, dude. I think this is the direction that I'm looking for. This
something
is the card
like
that I'm looking for in Etali. Yeah.
Not something that like takes cards from a known zone that I have. Like I want to be able to fix it with cards that I don't know. Yeah.
The issue is what do you cut? Because you can't really cut any of the mana. You still need the deck to be able to produce 7 mana as quickly as possible, I think. But so what else is there in the deck? The few pieces of interaction, and I think that's where this would come into play.
I could see like cutting my Flare of Duplication for something like Cream of the Crop, because the problem is it's a do nothing enchantment. Like it sits there, it does nothing for you, it doesn't gain you any advantage, and then you pass a turn and then you lose the Rogsai.
Right.
That does not help you at all. Like getting past turn 2 in Etali is insanely scary if you do not have the ability to like have already spun into advantage pieces before you have to pass for something. I'm still having a hard time like wrapping my head around like how that might go, but I could still see scenarios where like you play this on turn 1 and then Etali is assembled on turn 2 with other rituals. Like
and if you can look at the top 7 before a trigger, you can pretty much, I don't know the math, but I got to assume you can pretty much guarantee that your flip will be a good one if you get to look at a 7 cards and
because it's not just Twin Flames. Like Eldritch Evolution is also a Twin Flame,
and it allows you to keep going. Every Twin Flame, every copy of Etali, that's also going to trigger this. So not only do you just go until you hit a spell, you get to dodge your own Birds of Paradises and your own, shitty spells and like give yourself a better shot. I think that's the direction that I want to do, is like make the deck more consistent. The explosive thing, we got that. We figured it out. And I have also found that Etali is not necessarily a deck that wants to make as much mana as possible. You want to resolve one of your spells that makes 7 mana. You want to resolve Jessica's Will or Geosurge
I want to
or
do that on
Treasonous
turn
Ogre.
2.
You're looking at those like Rogsai is looking for Necropotence. You're not just looking for a bunch of mana. A bunch of mana doesn't do it. 5 mana is nothing. 6 mana is nothing. You got to find one of those cards that can get you 7 mana, and you need to be able to cast those spells. But it's not necessarily a deck that just needs as much mana as possible. So maybe there is a world where like, I don't know, maybe one of them, you cut Birds of Paradise. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's some of the world where like some of the mana is okay to shave because you just want like better hits instead.
3 mana rituals that are like a little bit harder to cast things that are not, certain stuff that you need.
Yeah. Maybe the Call Time Ritual, maybe that card's not good or something.
Maybe that one's not good.
I don't know if that's true.
I kind of want to try that with World War Hulk when that comes out before I decide to cut that one. But I think I'm onto something with the Flare of Duplication. That card is bad. Cream of the Crop might be a little bit better. Sylvan Tutor might be a little bit better. That might be a better direction to kind of lean in.
I think we got a new direction for it.
I think we got a good new direction for this. Yeah, cool.
Great. Anything else?
I think that's fine.
Sweet. Thanks so much for watching. If you like support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Back the Mad, Seabass, Not Careth, Bob the Skull, Davisher, Abyss AA, Peggy, E4 Cards and More, Red, Finks MTG, Wandering Around, Mike H, Tom Bieber, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Nathan Cohen, Mr. Derby, Okie Toad, Penguin Man 0089, David Newman, Johnny Denver, Omelet, Rocky Hall, Pat Fire, Spengler, Lushney Roars, Your Boy Blue, Sparky B, SC Phillip, Holding Group E, Zach Hartley, Big Legs, Banjo, Reactive, Sean of the Ice, The Works 472, Garrett Bear Garrett, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Zippon, Joshua Day, Demon of Rosgreaves, Peter Stewart, Corner Wild, Uncle Butts, Duke Luke, Quadra A. Hamid, Scott Hulk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thanks, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off.
You can follow us on the internet for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Lumi E, Bob Russell, Devin Morrow, Ruby Supreme, Willow2998, Total 99, Rick, Sharticus, McSaucy, Max McCumber, Meta, Ben Finelli, Jason Brooks, Safarius, Vietnam 69, Sarcastic, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Dalton Poteet, Jan Wildfang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson. And the podcast is over.